Hey everybody, Garcia here, and today we're going to be shaking a box and trying to figure out what's in it in Fairy Prank. In this game, the players are going to be taking turns putting certain things in this wooden box and then eventually closing it up. Somebody is the fairy player, and they are going to remove some things secretly, close it up again, and let the other players shake it and try to guess what's in there. Let me go ahead and show you how it works. To set up the game, you're going to lay out the empty box, all 10 of the items with their corresponding little cardboard token, and then every player is going to get one of these score sheets that list how you win, and then an image of all 10 items with 3 musical ticks below that, all right? So I'm going to go ahead and leave that right there for reference. And here's how it goes. Somebody is chosen to be the star player. They get the star player token here. And you are going to go through different phases. The first one is about putting things in the box until someone chooses to stop that and become the fairy player, the one who's going to be playing a trick on the other players, right? So you pick a thing, you put it in the box, and then you take the token and set it aside as part of the pool for this round. So I'm going to put it right there. So the first player does that. Then the second player is going to do a similar thing. Then the third player will do that, and then the fourth player, and from that player onwards, you have a choice. So the first 3 have to put something in. After that, you can add something in or choose to stop and become the fairy. So you can put another one in. That's the fourth player. We go back around to the first player, let's say. First player puts this in, and then the second player is going to, on that second loop, say, okay, that's it. We're done. Great. Everybody's going to close their eyes except for that player, and we go on to the second phase in which that player removes some things from the box. You can remove as many as you want to, as long as you remove at least one thing and leave at least one thing in there. So they're going to take a look, and they'll remove, obviously secretly, again, a couple of these things from in here. Then we close this, and it's got a little magnetic clasp, so you can slide that in, and the magnet will catch it. Then you can say, okay, everybody can open their eyes. And then starting from the player to the left of that player who removed things, you'll grab it and you'll shake this. And you'll try to figure out what's missing. So you might say, or not what's missing, but what's in there, rather. So you'll shake this, and that second player might say, or that next player might say, okay, I think the metal ring is still in there. Right, the key chain ring. Yes, it's in there. If so, then that player will take this token, they will remove it from the selection, and they will mark off the first unselected musical note underneath that thing. In this case, the very first one. All right? Then the next player will go, and they will shake this and say, I think the die is still in there. Nope, it's not in there. I have it over here in my hand. So the fairy player will get this one. And on their own sheet, they'll mark off a symbol under the die, the first one. And this continues until either everything that's in there has been guessed, or everything that the fairy player removed has been erroneously guessed, okay? At that point, we are done. Everybody got, all those things that were selected as being in there. And the guess always has to be X thing is in there. Everybody who got one of these gets a point for that thing, and then we go to the next round in which we empty this out, remove it, set it all up again, and the star player token goes to the next person. So how do you win? You can win in one of 2 ways, and it says it right here on the scoreboard. If you get any one thing gives you a point 3 times in the game, you win. Or if you get 6 separate things at least once. So the first musical note on 6 different things. And this is immediately, as soon as it happens, then that player is going to win the game. And that's all there is to it. The rules say you could introduce new things. You have to make your own little cardboard chit for it. But you could introduce new things to the game, remove some of these, add in new things. But that's, a variant. And that's pretty much the game. So there you go. Let's go ahead and go back up top. This is a neat little game, and the main negative I can say for it is that it is very much a one-trick pony, right? It is a funny activity, it's well implemented, but it is the same thing you are doing each and every time, and from game to game, not a lot is going to change. Probably. You could switch the things in there, but it doesn't really change the activity. So let me go ahead and break it down, all right? Starting at the top, the theme. I think it's an attractive theme. I think it's well implemented. I think it's cute. It's whimsical. It works well for what's going on here. The aesthetics are gorgeous. The outside sleeve is very lovely with some gold foil gold printing. The wooden box that comes inside of it is a little hard to remove sometimes. It's quite a tight sleeve, but it itself is lovingly produced. All the items feel like a bunch of things you might find around the house, but that's the idea, right? So everything that's in here works well. Rulebook is good. The only thing I wish they would have included is some blank cardboard tokens, okay? So that you would have a couple of these little cardboard tiles that were just left blank, so that we could use those in order to add our own things from around the house to the game. As it is now, you just have to find something and write it on a little piece of paper, or if you're putting something in, make sure there are two and you can use one as the token, one as the one you throw into the box, that sort of thing. It's a minor deal, but it would have been a nice touch to go above and beyond and add replayability right to the box. The replay value is okay. As I alluded to, it's kind of a one-trick pony. That's a fun trick. It's a neat little game. It's definitely, no pun intended, outside the box. But the extra little sort of touches would have gone a long way into improving the replayability. The game arc is good, and as far as if you're just looking at the scoring of the game, I don't have any problem. If you are looking at, I want to be the fairy player, you might not get a chance to and still could win. So from that point of view, where it's one of those games where there are very much two different sort of activities, the guesser and the prankster, you might not get to do probably the prankster as much as you would like to, or get to do it at all, So there's that to it. It doesn't hurt, again, the scoring. It doesn't hurt who wins necessarily. It's just one of those things where you might feel like you don't get to do the fun thing in the game. Not that I think the guessing isn't fun, but the sort of being mischievous and playing a prank on other players, you might not get to do that in the game. The ease of play, very high, straightforward game. But one thing that's interesting, and it sort of affects all three of the game arc, the ease of play, and the tactics and strategy, is that this game has more rules and is a little more gamery than you might think from the game description, right? The game description is put a bunch of junk in a box, shake it, figure out what's in there. But the rules, the selection process, the way that you win, the scoring sheet, is more gamery than you would think it is before you play the game. Because once you're closer to winning, you have to start thinking very differently about a lot of things. What do you put in the box? Depending on who the fairy player is, what do you remove so that if they guess that thing, they don't get the third point in something, and instead you get it? There's all these things that are hard for you to sort of understand our considerations unless you play it. And it's weird because it's the kind of game that I think is going to be more... It will weirdly, I think, appeal more to people that go into it not expecting it to be a silly, rambunctious game, which it could be. But the rules are, and sort of the developing strategy are not targeted for that group almost, okay? So that's kind of how I feel about ease of play, and it's why I think tactics, luck, and strategy are somewhere in the middle. Because while they're good, they almost feel like they're for the wrong crowd. I think as I wrote here, the scoring leads to a think your endgame, then the game warns, and I think a basic mode would have been nice. Something really simple. Everybody gets to be the fairy one time in a row, pick out of the 10 things, pick 6, throw them in there, remove some, and everybody goes. And for everybody who is right, you get a point. 1 point. First one to 8 points or something is the winner. Like, way simpler scoring, right? As opposed to, you can have 6 different things to give you a point, or the same thing 3 times. Those are all, I like those rules. I think, again, they make the game thinkier. But it's almost like the bones in this, the little birdie bones in this game don't quite support that intricate scoring, wrapped around it. So I kind of worry that some folks are going to be playing at a different level than folks who are just playing very casually, okay? But having said all of that, this is a quirky, cute little activity/game with some silliness thrown in there, some interesting scoring, shaking and sort of trying to do this thing, like where you very slowly turn it and try to see if you can make out the marble. Marble's pretty easy. Is the felt still in there? One of the things is a square felt. So I like all of that. I think it's well done. So this is going to get a 7 out of 10 from me. That's a seal of approval. And if you're looking for something that's likely to be different from a bunch of the games you already own, then I think Fairy Prank is a good one for that. So there you go, everybody. That's Fairy Prank, 7 out of 10 from me. My name is Z Garcia. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one.